Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So we're going to start just by taking a peek over at USNI News and looking at the fleet tracker. Much different than what we had been seeing in past weeks. At one point, we had 5 carrier strike groups over here in the Pacific, close to Japan and China. Now we see that we're down to 3, and 2 of these are basically home ported. Take it for what it's worth. There's always all different levels of deception going on. We see the Essex over here coming into San Diego from Hawaii. It made a stop in Hawaii, so that's coming into home port. And then we have the George H.W. Bush and the Gerald R. Ford, which are both just kind of sitting off the coast of Virginia. Yeah, just kind of, it looks like it's kind of a tentative positioning, if you ask me. The Harry S. Truman is still in the Mediterranean with 2 other NATO strike groups that are not shown, but there are 2 other NATO strike groups that are in there as well. Obviously, we have everything going on in the Ukraine. We'll touch on a Ukrainian update in an upcoming video, maybe later on today. We'll try to get it out. But just wanted to touch more on stuff happening here in the U.S. as we see the new normal. Yeah, the fence is up, guard on standby for the State of the Union address. The fencing around the U.S. Capitol is back up for the President's State of the Union address on Tuesday. Police cars with flashing lights stationed at major intersections and highways. U.S. National Guard is on standby. Hey, it's the new normal, right? And while there are no specific or credible threats related to 46's speech, law enforcement officials are taking no chances following the events of January 6th last year. We know. Again, area closed by order of the United States Capitol Police Board. Everything about this era just keeps taking me back to late 1930s, mid-late 1930s in Germany, and it's just got that vibe all about it. As we see the eagle. Now, many people might see the eagle and automatically think USA. I think Roman Empire. The Roman Empire that's never ceased to exist, which comes from the Sumerian.
Right. I mean, all they did was basically relabel the same statues, relabel the same items that once belonged to the Roman Empire. It's all still here with different names.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, if you look at the symbolic banner for the Holy Roman Empire, and you look at the Russian, and it's the same thing again. It's always going on down the line. I've seen people break it down years back into, being a symbol of Enlil, the god Enlil, the being Enlil, we should really say again. So, of course, we've had the whole Convoy thing going on as well. It just feels like this is something that, what's the word? In tennis, you kind of lob the ball in the air where you're about to slam it.
Right, it's that pause. It's that pause right before everything stuff hits the fan.
Mierda. Whoops. Oopsies. Uh-oh, yeah. This I thought was interesting. Last week, the JB administration requested the assistance of state National Guards to deploy to D.C. This is Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. I have rejected this request. There will be no Florida Guards sent to D.C. for the State of the Union, and for 46's State of the Union specifically. We've been focused on Ukraine and on Russia right now so much that we might not be looking at the other things. And again, that's a big part of what this is always about. Look over here.
Right. It's a shell game, it's a shell game. So it's really hilarious. I think that they don't realize how many people are really understanding this now, or maybe they do. And that's why they have to put up these, these fences along with this razor wire to keep people away, once people truly, truly understand and it becomes a household name, as far as the deception and how deep it runs in this game that they've been playing with so many people.
And here we see Governor Abbott over at the other large, important state in the South down there. When you look at Texas and Florida, California has the biggest population overall. Texas is second. Florida's third. Florida passed New York a couple of years ago. And the migration keeps coming into Texas and Florida. At some point, Texas will probably have more people than California. But will it be its own country by that time? Or what's it going to look like? Again, we had talked about this Pluto return. And look at the timing of everything. It's coming true to form. Remember, the elites understand astrology is the part of the programming of the matrix that we are in. And we are in a matrix. We're in a matrix within a matrix. Right now we're in a dark matrix, which has been governing this planet within a matrix that is not so dark. It just allows freedoms, as the original source has put into play, or the true God with the big G. What we are seeing is still, it's the Tower of Babel over and over again. Break it down, which it does have to break down, because the way they control us is through all the power structures, which you cannot speak about in a negative way, because they are the control systems that are in place. Like, you cannot question certain things. When you know you can't question something, then you know there's something wrong.
Right. That's so true. And, look at how many little wikis we can get, with just one video, and all these fact checkers that they have on Facebook, and, there's missing information here, with a lot of things. Just if somebody makes a statement, it's like, don't look any further. They think they're stopping that. But reality is we need to create our own system. And you notice how I think the biggest buzz is the Pluto return. That information is so powerful. That's so deep. But they're not going to talk about it on mainstream media because they've written off astrology as woo-woo, but that's only to serve, those those elite powers, or they at least claim to be elite. So, yeah, I think everything speaks for itself, the Pluto return and all the changes that are happening.
Absolutely. They pay attention to this. When you look at, just going back throughout history, every court had an astrologer. Every court had an astrologer. It was just, they had to. They had to know what the signs were. And, we've been taught to think in terms of this being a mechanistic machine universe instead of a living, breathing universe that responds to the thoughts of every single individual. Every single consciousness in this universe is constantly affecting the direction of the stream of events. Of course, those in power that have the control of the narrative, that are able to, constantly censor this, delete that tweet, they're in a position that makes it easier for them to control the narrative. But the narrative was breaking down before this whole thing happened, and in the Ukraine, and that's part of it. It's stopping the flow of energy. Look over here. Stop thinking what you were thinking about. Now be worried about nothing but whether or not you're going to see mushroom clouds. That's what they're trying to do again. And again, there is that fear-based loosh that feeds certain, entities. Yet at the same time, there's these energies going forward that are showing us the Pluto return is it's real. The energies of it are real.
Sorry,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think, what do they call that? It's not Siri. It's
It's Google something.
the Google Assistant, whoever her name is. Alexa, okay. Well, she just wanted to put her 2 cents in for whatever reason there. Yeah, she does that. So, here they're going to take advantage of this by timing all these things right around that Pluto return. So, Texas, you see, Greg Abbott, Biden builds a wall around the U.S. Capitol to protect him and the federal elites from American citizens, but refuses to build a wall on our border to protect citizens from drug cartels. And record illegal immigration from over 150 countries. Texas is building its own wall. And as we've said, migrants, you have to feel for all the migrants in the world. There's so many migrants out there that get uprooted, and you and I could become migrants tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We could all be migrants, and we might be wanting to cross the border and get down farther south or somewhere else because of different things that are happening in the future that which we can't know of right now. And then it'll be us, facing these things and facing people that are looking at you like, what's your real intentions, where they're just victims of circumstance. Yet some of these, as we've talked about, are what we would call, sleepy cellular units, without a doubt. They've been in place for a long, long time. So there's a reason why certain walls are built and other ones aren't built.
That's such a humbling thought to think that, yes, that could be us too. And in a heartbeat, they have that much control over people's lives, from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. And just like any other living, breathing entity who has its own natural cycle, they understand this about the planet. They know the planetary cycles, and they know how to maneuver things in such a way where they're the ones who have all of the momentum, and they're the ones who have the understandings of how things are in motion and how to get people to use their emotions in favor of them. This is why we really have to step back and get in touch with ourselves, because it's that touch with yourself that's going to help us out of this.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about that quote again from the scripture, where it talks about Babylon the Great and the fall of Babylon the Great, and they'll look and see at a distance. And there's also like a part in there where they say that she thought it could never happen to her. And there's so much of that attitude in this country, like it could never happen over here. There's always been that attitude, but it could. It's just a matter of time. Again, every empire falls when it's no longer useful to the real controllers that hold those puppet strings. And so we see the People's Convoy grows to over 3,000 vehicles, now approaching Springfield, Missouri. So, we have these convoys going on.
This is amazing, guys. They're going to be out here for a while, aren't they? Because this thing goes for miles and miles.
It's wonderful when people pull together for freedom. Absolutely. As you could see, picture here of this stretching onwards. And the trucker convoy swells as it moves across the country to D.C. D.C. In meditation today, Cindy was seeing Georgetown come up. And I told her Georgetown is in the D.C. area. And we don't know what that is. She was just seeing it. And honestly, I don't think you had even thought about the State of the Union or the Freedom Convoy.
No, I didn't.
So I don't know. There's a lot of rumors out there. Georgetown's a historic neighborhood, commercial entertainment district in Northwest Washington, D.C. We don't know she didn't get a clear message as to what was going to occur, if there was going to be anything to occur. But she was just seeing a certain neighborhood, describing it to me, and then saying she gets the name Georgetown. And then, didn't really even click until I was looking through the news and thinking about this. So again, we saw how things are always labeled what they're not. Like the Patriot Act, for instance, which took away so many of our rights. Have we ever gotten any of those back? No. Nothing ever comes back. It always just goes to a higher level of surveillance. So, again, those BS banners that we've talked about, it definitely feels like there could be some potential for something out there.
That's what I'm feeling. They're going to use this for more than, what they're saying. And just look at the name. I know they love to do things like, say it's a freedom convoy when it's possibly something's going to happen, and it's going to need to utilize some sort of AI, to monitor people a little bit closer. And the same thing with the Patriot Act. They wanted that to sound like, oh, you're a patriot, you're going to have more freedom. It's the same thing. It's what I'm picking up. And let's just hope that everything will go smooth. Things will maintain as they should. And maybe we will gain some more freedoms. But the other thing that kind of crossed my mind was all the people that are out in support of this. Are their names being marked also?
Yeah, you have to be weary of that. Facial recognition. We've also gotten that part of the whole thing with the putting something over your face was really about testing certain technologies. Right now, one of the biggest things is the integration of AI at an extremely high level that's mind-blowing into every facet of our life. So they're going to be identifying people just by the eyes, by the iris. And, get to that level where, you might have to go to your bank. Okay, maybe not a thumbprint. Maybe it'll be an eye scan. Yeah. Something like that. Just look into this for us. Yep. That's it. And we see over here, Maui has its own little freedom convoy, about 100 vehicles there. And I just thought this was cute. This is Jenna Ellis. Now that science is partisan, the CDC is now declaring that mail-in ballots reduce your risk of cancer.
Of course.
It's like you need a passport for certain things, but, not when it comes to selecting leadership.
Yeah.
Selecting.
Yeah, it is all about the selection. No one is ever nominated. These things are laid out, and plenty of time for all the plans to pull together. So they know exactly what they're doing.
Absolutely. And it's all being revealed. After all, it's the big apocalypse. As always, guys, keep putting your intention out there and let freedom truly ring. We need to absolutely have a complete changing of the system that we're in, because as we've been saying, can't put a Band-Aid on an amputated limb. It just doesn't work. Even no matter how much you want it to work, it is not going to work. And I want to thank all those out there for their support on Patreon, Ko-Fi, and also Medicinal Foods. Use coupon code EEA. It gets you a discount. Also does support the channel. Take care of yourself. Detox as much as you can, because we are living in an extremely toxic world. It was beautiful blue skies. And then we see, the planes go, and there goes another one. And now it's all gray out there when it was perfectly no clouds, beautiful blue skies. The sun felt wonderful. Now it's a gray haze that's out there trying to keep the DNA changing information from the sun from reaching your skin and changing and increasing your abilities.
But awareness is a really big part of the battle. As long as we're aware, we can work around things.
Absolutely. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.